Yeah. But what I wanted to talk about in this video was 24 things that we're not going to do in 2024 anymore. I know it sounds cliche because I'm sure everybody's saying all of those things in resolutions, but these are things that I just been reflecting on, and I realize it no longer serves a purpose for me in my life. So I'm just going to walk around this hallway as I go through the list before I go back upstairs, and then we're going to do another video of 24 things that we are going to do instead. So the first thing is judging myself and others. I realized that when we see things that we don't like in other people, 9 times out of 10, it's a reflection of something that we don't like within ourselves. Or in order for us to even pass that judgment or in order for us to even pass that judgment or see something in someone else, we're the ones who are in control of what we perceive. We're the ones who have the assumption about those characteristics of how people will show up in our lives. And you have to change your expectations in order for people to change. And I've seen that myself before, where people, I used to think that they weren't kind, or maybe they didn't like me, or whatever it is. And just by deciding to see them as a friend, even just mentally practicing not assuming negative things about people, in the same day, I get a change of behavior from so many people that I had preconceptions about, even though I didn't even know them, no evidence to prove that they weren't mean besides my own assumption, So I see the benefit of letting that go. And number 2, so no longer accepting negative thoughts and assumptions. Again, that kind of ties into that, because you get what you expect. Accepting negative things doesn't really serve me anymore. And I know that, but it's like you still might catch yourself falling into those habits unnecessarily. But now I really feel like, okay, I've seen enough evidence to see the outcome of those assumptions, and it's not the way that I want to live my life anymore, and it's not the way that I want to perceive my life anymore. So 3, no longer having regrets or using the past against myself, because that just creates more of those situations. If you don't want to experience it, why keep focusing on it? Why keep setting yourself up for those expectations if it's not even how you want things to be? Sorry about the noise. I don't know what they're doing. It's like every time I go somewhere, somebody's doing something. But anyways, you don't realize that you kind of set yourself up for more of those situations because you just keep putting your attention on thinking things are going to go the same way and not being open to a new outcome, because you literally don't have anything to base those judgments off of, but you're just choosing to use what you experienced before as evidence of your future when they have nothing to do with your future. The next thing, number 4, is stop thinking I'm not good enough, because that has been something that has poured into every area of my life, and not in a good way. And I realized I knew the feeling, but I didn't really recognize how deeply I didn't feel I wasn't good enough in a number of ways. And sometimes it takes somebody else saying it, or you watching a million videos to really get it. Like, you genuinely don't feel you're good enough, and you need to change that, because you don't need any reason to want the things that you want, to have the things that you want to have. You don't need an explanation, or you don't owe anybody anything, even yourself. Like, you don't need to prove to yourself why you deserve something. Like, all of that is just a trap to keep you in that undeserving place where you never get what you want, which is kind of just redundant, but that's part of the cycle. When you have negative assumptions, they'll keep you trapped in believing that you can't see anything outside of that belief system. So the next thing, number 5, is changing my standards to fit where other people are. A lot of times we try to measure ourselves or compare or feel like we have to be a certain way for people to like us or care about us or whatever, just to fit in. And you don't need to do that. Your standards are your own standards. You at least need to be able to be genuine about who you are. And if people align with that, fine. If they don't, fine. But you don't need to fake who you are for other people's comfort, because then you have to keep sustaining that, and it's not really sustainable. Number 7, choosing sadness, spiraling, assuming life isn't working out. Again, you get what you assume, and I see how that's played out for me, and it hasn't been good. It hasn't felt good, and it's not a way that I want to continue living life. So, number 8, putting off doing things alone and feeling scared about it. Obviously, you want to be able to have social interactions and create friendships, but being alone with yourself isn't a bad thing. You can be confident and express yourself and do things that you want to do by yourself and be confident about it. You don't have to make it a bad thing. Obviously, the friends will come, but I feel like I've stopped myself from doing so many things just because I was making excuses. The next thing, number 10, is finding ways to not accept myself. We are really good at putting ourselves down. We're really good at projecting our issues to the point where we don't even see it as something in ourselves. We still like to blame other people instead of realizing you aren't in agreement with something within yourself, and you're not seeing who you really are, and that's the real issue. So I'm really just trying to figure out like what acceptance feels like within me, but that's kind of not really relevant to the list. It's just really what we're not doing. But yeah, like no longer feeling like I can't accept myself for fill in a blank, whatever condition, circumstance, blah, 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 11, giving up on myself and struggling. So I realized even in trying to change my mentality and my attitude about stuff, I would continuously want to give up and feel like something isn't working. And I didn't realize I was just so comfortable giving up on myself. And it is something that I really need to work on to be able to motivate myself and, feel good about the things that I'm doing to change. So it's just having that inner confidence and realizing you don't have to struggle or fight or resist anything. It's just choosing to be a better version, and not in a devaluing kind of way, but a better version of you that gets the things that you actually want. Obsessing on details about how things could work out. You shouldn't even be focused on that, because it's just a distraction, because there's a million ways something could change, but your limited mindset can't even fathom what that could be. So why stress yourself out with the unknown? Just know that it's going to surprise you, but it's still going to end in the fulfillment of you having what you want. The next thing is placing my attention on things unwanted altogether. Where your energy goes, where your attention flows is where energy goes, whatever that saying is. So if you're continuously focusing on what you don't want, you can't sit there and wonder why what you want hasn't come yet, because this is where you spend all of your mental energy and emotional energy on. 15, assuming the worst of myself and others. That's kind of the first thing about the judgment, because when you're assuming the worst in yourself or others, you only allow that expression of them, of yourself too. So it's just understanding that you're going to be limited to whatever you believe about yourself, whatever you continue to say and think and feel about others too. What's the next one? Oh, number 16. So accepting insecurity, unworthiness, undeservingness, or failure. Like, I'm taking all those words out my vocabulary and working on letting go of all those feelings and emotions all together, because those are the core things that I feel like I was meant to learn about in my life, and based on the interpretations and experiences I had, those were common themes that I was constantly trying to overcome. But now I know I don't need to resist them, but I feel comfortable letting them go and normalizing that in my body and actually feeling safe and okay and actually mean it. The next thing is judging feelings, discomfort, or appearances. Because again, if you keep judging stuff, you just keep yourself stuck in those situations, in those interpretations, and it doesn't really get you anywhere. Being guarded and afraid of people. Again, that just goes back to your judgments and your assumptions about them. Like, you think you have something to be afraid of when you don't. Or maybe you have had experiences where people lost your trust, but it's deciding, okay, how do you want the relationship with people to be now? Not continue to go over what happened in the past, and you kind of practice that feeling or change your assumption, and you see how people reflect the trust and the comfort that you have established now. At least trusting yourself first to know you can find trustworthy people or you can experience trustworthy relationships or whatever. Number 20, being afraid to live. You have to have a more positive definition of life in general to understand why you would even need to be afraid of it. If you expect it to be nothing but bad things happening, then I could understand why it would feel like you need to be afraid of life. But redefine what life is and then make it work to your benefit instead of something to be terrified or anxious about. Denying myself peace or happiness for any type of reason. So those things are unconditional. So you have to be able to redefine that as well in a way that allows you to feel however you want to feel no matter what's going on around you. The next thing is accepting any negativity in my thoughts. So accepting any type of negativity, it doesn't really serve anything anymore, at least for me. It's just a reminder like, okay, I need to change my attention. Or if I'm having this thought, what assumption does that mean that I'm holding? And what would I like to change it to? Just think of them as little indicators, little warning signs that you should shift so that it doesn't manifest into something that you don't want to experience. Seeing people as friends and not enemies, again, goes into how you're judging others. And I mentioned this in another video before, like when I held that focus in my mind about seeing people as friends, I saw so much change in how people were interacting with me within hours of holding that intention. So just know it works instantly. I can tell you that for sure. 24, eliminate jealousy. For me, I realized the reason behind me feeling jealous was feeling like I couldn't have the things that I want and seeing other people with things that I thought I wanted would trigger me. And it's like you don't want to feel that way about other people who are either random strangers or don't really mean anything to you, or even if they do, you don't want to feel that way about people that you care about. So it's like, how can I give myself what I want, believe in my ability to have the things that I want without feeling bad about what other people are doing? So when you find a reason behind why you feel that way, you have to kind of fulfill yourself. Like, okay, I believe in myself. I can have anything that I want. This has nothing to do with my ability to get what I want. Use it as evidence of, oh, that means my desire is coming next. Or if I'm seeing all of this popping up in your consciousness, that means you're already in the frequency of having what you want if you're surrounded by it. So make it a good thing that you're seeing that instead of a bad thing. So that concludes the 24 things that I'm letting go of, that you should too, or make your own list and see what comes up as you reflect on it. And then I think I'm gonna do the next 24 while I'm still here in Italy, but I'm not sure, because I think I wanna save the rest of my space